So this is going to be a quick review on this Monster 1200S. It's a 2014. I wanted to quickly address some of the negatives all the reviews talk about on this bike. One being your foot hitting the rear pegs here, which mine does. I wear around 11.5 to 12 size shoe. The other being the display, not being able to see the display at bright daylight. So just very quickly, how I just resolved this on my bike is I got these adjustable Rhizoma pegs. They have 8 positions of adjustment. Let me move the peg down and forward, takes my heel off this, and it gives me the room needed. So that's pretty quick, easy fix. So your leg hitting that rear peg. The second part is I got the Ducati windscreen for this bike, which is here. I wrapped this in matte black vinyl, so it's not perfect, but during the day it actually works pretty well. If you want to see the display, it kind of blocks out a lot of the sunlight. It's kind of cloudy today, but this works pretty well. So that's a pretty easy solution to these slight annoyances with this bike. Other thing I'll say is some people say this bike's a little cramped for taller riders. I'm 6'3". I came off a Ducati Streetfighter that has one of the best legroom on any bike I've ridden. So for this one, I actually have the Ducati comfort seat, which raises the seat about an inch, and I have the rear blocks removed, so it's actually flatter, doesn't slide you into the tank. The other thing I have is the Rhizoma MA008 bars right here. They actually are better for vibrations. You don't feel as much vibration through the bars, and they also raise my arms a little bit. There's more rise to them and a little more sweep back, so I find it very comfortable. So those are solutions to some of these annoyances that people talk about in their videos. So let's go for a ride. On this bike are amazing. They're actually on the 1200S. The brakes off the kind of galley. Past experience on bikes, just for comparison's sake, I used to have a 2003 R6. I had a 2007 Gixxer 750, and then I got my first Ducati, which was a Ducati Sport Classic. It was a great bike, but for my back and my seating position was just too much. I wound up selling that bike. I had a Monster 600. It was a 2001. I had a Monster 1100 Evo, and the only reason I sold that bike is it just felt a bit small for me. So what's good about this bike is a bit bigger than the 1100 Evo. The wheelbase is longer, feels a little roomier for me. After that, I wound up getting a Ducati Streetfighter, which I'll say for a taller rider is probably one of the best bikes you can get in terms of comfort. It may not look like it, but you get a comfort seat, and this is the same bar I have on here. You put that on the Streetfighter. It was probably the most comfortable bike I've ridden out of all the bikes I've had. And the power on that bike was great. Really nice. I had the 848, really nice engine. This bike actually has a lot more power down low than that bike. I think the torque is way better on this Monster than it was on the Streetfighter 848. Stock exhaust on this bike sounds pretty good. I was thinking about getting the Termagnonis, but I haven't gotten them yet just because the stock exhaust is actually pretty loud. Sounds pretty good. Some of the forums talk about these bikes turning off when they're coming to a stop or you're downshifting. That has to do with these bikes coming in from the factory fairly. I think some people have gotten them tuned and found that it was around 17 air-fuel ratio down low. So I actually have the rapid bike module on this bike, and it's so much smoother, so much better. The power is way more, way more smoother. The down low, the bike feels so much better. So I highly recommend getting the rapid bike. You may hear the bike has 3 riding modes. It's actually, from what as I understand it, it actually is works through the throttle, where it just doesn't open up the butterflies as much as the urban mode does in the other modes. So urban mode's actually pretty good for the city. I ride around in Manhattan in that mode, and it's actually pretty good. Like the throttle feels a lot better, less jerky. Most of the time I'll ride around in sport mode, which is pretty much full power. In sport mode, the throttle's a little more jerky. When you're riding around and you hit a bump, your wrist kind of, actuates the throttle a little bit, while in the other 2 modes, not as much. And in terms of touring, I took this bike for a ride up to the Catskills. Really great bike to do that on. Comfortable. I mean, the way I have it set up is super comfortable. Just a really, really good bike to for both the city and in the city it does get hot if you're stuck in traffic. The exhaust on the right by your right foot will get hot, which kind of sucks. But on the longer rides, it's just such a great bike. The Olin suspension on this Monster is probably some of the best suspension I've had on the bike, and I had it tuned. Yeah, so hopefully, anyone that's considering this bike and has listened to reviews and wasn't very sold on it just because of some of the negatives people mentioned, I would say, it's very easy to solve those little problems, and the bike is just great. The power is there, it's smooth. It's the most powerful Monster they've made. Handling's great, and I think it actually looks really good as well. So yeah, really enjoy this bike, and I think I've owned a lot of bikes and I always wind up selling one, but this one definitely I'm going to keep for a while. So